Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the refirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Last week, very exciting. We kicked off our 14th season with Dr. Debbie. Dr. Debbie, where have we been? Where are we going? You know, she has been on the show 40 plus times, and it's always about mental health advocacy. And so she is an awesome resource. And we talked about several shows that we had done over the past 13 years, and it was just a riot. So please check out that podcast if you want to get any information. Mental health advocacy is our biggest topic, but this is another topic that I find really huge is our DIY, do it yourself. Although I don't do it myself, I've tried to find people. I know my limitations when it comes to these things. Calling this one water everywhere. And you'll know why in a second here, because if you're a homeowner, the one thing, well, I could say, unless you live in California where I did for a while, or an earthquake, water is your biggest enemy, and you want to be friends with water. If you can be friends with water, you just got to respect it, because water will find its way into your home. My guest today is my very good friend, Rob Helm. Let me do a quick bio here. Rob's been a contractor for over 20 years. He's got a very diverse background. I could let him talk about all his entrepreneurial activities. But basically, Rob's success in the HVACR industry is notable throughout the Midwest and on many specialized projects. He does it all. I mean, he'll do a roof. He's doing stuff for us that's just, huge jobs. His experience has landed him as an adjunct professor and teaching ultra-high efficiency heating system at Lansing Community College, helping young people, helping older people refire and find their new, career path. That's what he's been doing. Rob has been recognized as an outstanding professor by his students, colleagues, and Center for Teaching Excellence. He's done it all. He returned to the United States from South Africa in 2004 and became a state licensed general contractor, where he has been doing this with Quality Vision Construction for over 20 years. We could go on and on and on about this with Rob. Rob's been on the show before, and, he's just a good guy. He is a great dad. He's a good husband. He does his thing. He takes care of things. He publishes books. Just, again, multifaceted cat. You want to check out his social media. It's just all over the place. But his expertise in construction is everything. And I want to bring him back into the program. My very good friend, Mr. Robert Helm.
Hey, Tom. Thank you, man. That was outstanding. I appreciate that. That's probably one of the best openings that I've heard in a while.
I could do a lot more, man, but it's like, we want to get to the nitty gritty here, because this water everywhere thing, if people are out there listening, it's like, pay attention to this one, everybody, because if you've had any kind of inclination to try to clean up a wet basement, that's primarily what we're going to talk about today, because I have had this situation. Oh, it's been something else here. Anyways, Rob, you know the drill, man. First things first this is your live. Please go right ahead. Talk about the fam. Talk about everybody. Get everybody caught up, and then we'll jump into the topic.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, as you stated, I am a husband and a father. So that's one of my greatest successes and attributes that I enjoy talking about a lot, actually. So I've been married for 24 years, almost 25 years now.
Congratulations.
And, thank you very much. I appreciate that. We got 5 wonderful children, 4 girls and a boy. And I have my oldest is right now in pre-med school, getting ready to graduate.
We won't say where.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, go ahead. Say where, because it's such a great institution. And I, I'm just joking, but University of Michigan, where your daughter's going to school, is outstanding. So, brag on it. That's tough, man. If you're in getting in an undergrad program at University of Michigan is something. So.
Well, that's, she reminds me about that frequently, of how proud we should be. And I am very proud, I must say. It's great to have a young, ambitious, lady who is out there really trying to change the world. So, then I have my second oldest is my son. Who is now very interested in actually getting into MSU. So that'll create some great dynamics in our household,
Sweet.
Right? We'll have the UM and the blue and the green going on.
Divided families are the bomb, man. It's just like, it's always interesting around football, basketball season for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And hockey now, of course, can't exclude any of the sports. And please don't, I'm not disrespecting anybody else, but the big three always carries all of the pub. Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And let's see, my third oldest, which would be the next couple are all girls, actually, because I only got one boy. So, and let's see, she is 20. Goodness gracious. Yeah, she just turned 20. And she's actually studying to be an insurance adjuster. So I'm pretty interested and excited to see how that turns out. Very different than what we anticipated for her because she loves animals and we just knew she was going to be a veterinarian. But and then I have my two youngest, which are still in school. And let's see, my fourth youngest, is 16. And, like I said, she's still in school, but she has a lot of interest in the digital community online, making stuff for other content creators and stuff. So that's kind of interesting. And then my youngest, my 8-year-old, who sometimes I forget she's 8, but boy, she is a handful. And now is learning to be a mouthful because boy, she talks some crazy things now. So we're trying to adjust to that. But outside of that, man, it's just I love my family very much, and it's excited to see them growing and changing and being a part of this crazy world that we're all in.
Don't forget the most important person.
Yeah, well,
she's got something going on too. That wife of yours.
Yeah. Yes. And,
save the best for last, man. We'll do it that way. We didn't forget you, Lidway. It's just that we're saving the best for last. That's right.
Because just saying her name sometimes it says so much just in itself because her name is so unique and her name means the one that we've been waiting for, right? So what better place to put her than at the end to, let the world know how fantastic she really is, being a part of the MSU family and just, watching her do the things that she is doing there to try to help, the people around her, her colleagues, just being a great mother, a great wife, and a great friend, and that makes me very proud. It makes me very thankful that she chose me. Or we chose one another.
There you go, man. And you know what? It all goes hand in hand with success and having that quality of life. And that's what I'm all about is quality of life. Our guest today is Rob Helm today, everybody. He's the CEO, the main man of Quality Vision Construction. Rob and I are very close. We've done some work. He's done some work over here. And I can vouch for his work quality-wise because not only is his name Quality Vision, but he's working on some projects here at the house. And this is what I've done with a lot of the contractors that we've had on the show. Mm-hmm. We've utilized their services. We're utilizing Rob's service right now because we have a big problem that actually Rob is fixing at the moment. He's in the middle of this giant project. Rob, we got a minute to go before we go to break here. Set up what you've been doing in a quick snapshot and where we're going to go with this episode.
Okay. Well, I think the biggest concern is dealing with the water, right? Trying to do everything we can to prevent as much water as possible from entering the structure. And so our goal was to try to circumvent any issues that we could identify on the outside of the home, and then also look for solutions that could help ensure that on the inside.
There you go. And so that's the setup for it, everybody. That's why we're calling it water everywhere, because as many of you may know, or if you don't, if you're new to the show, then welcome. Thank you for listening. That when we downsized into Little House Lansing, as we call this, and where we're recording this episode, this is built in 1950, and actually Rob found the plumbing certificate, the inspection certificate, when he started to destroy the basement when he's doing all this work, and it was from 1949. So when you have an older structure like this, where you don't have a sump pump, and there's many homes across this country that are in this situation, the older homes, you've got to listen up to what Rob's got going on, because we tried getting around all this. I tried to avoid the big expense, as we all, of course, you don't want to, invest a bunch of money if you don't have to, but we got to the point where it's just, we had to do this. It was becoming an issue, and we're going to talk about this in depth here, everybody, when we come back. Water everywhere. Quality Vision Construction, Rob Helm, DIY. Love doing this kind of stuff. We're going to save you some money and give you some tips here. Rob is my man, and we're going to get things done here. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
This segment of The Tom Matt Show is brought to you in part by The Source of Light and Power by band leader Archivall and broadcaster Mitch Anderson. Hear the sound that is endorsed by Odyssey headphones, linear tube audio, RME converters, and Peluso microphones at sourceoflightandpower.bandcamp.com.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining. I'm your host, Tom Matt. Segment is sponsored by Craig, Ameriprise Financial, Craig Stiles, your Ameriprise Financial advisor. We hope. Ours for sure, full disclosure. All of our retirement zone savings money is with Craig. We just had Craig on recently, and we talked about, all of the aspects that go into your retirement zone savings. Ameriprise Financial is doing a great job. Matter of fact, I don't look at this much, but I'm going to tell you right now, I looked at our portfolio this morning, kind of prepping for the show, and it's going up. So it's like the whole story of taking withdrawals out of your savings, but your money continues to grow. That means you got things set up correctly by the right guy. That's Craig Stiles. That's Ameriprise Financial. And that's a really good feeling, because when I look in there and I know we're taking our savings, because we're at that point in our life where we need to use that money for our lifestyle. That's why we saved all that money. You want to see it going up. We want to leave a legacy for people. This is where you can be with Craig, with the right financial advisor. Life can be-ism, be brilliant. Please call Craig 1-800-528-1355. You can call 517-483-4893. His email is craig.stiles@ampf.com. His offices are located at 2651 Coolidge Road, Suite 103, East Lansing, Michigan, 48823. Don't let the East Lansing address dissuade you from reaching out to Craig, because Craig can vet, and Ameriprise is a huge company. So wherever you're located across the country, listening to this on the podcast or the radio broadcast, they can help you. Craig can vet them for you. All of the agents that are out there, you've got to find these trustworthy people, like my guest today, Robert Helm, all of our sponsors. So this is very, very important. Some of the stations that carry us, will carry us, have carried us in the past. 92.1 FM, Grand Haven, WGHN, carried us for a long, long time. First station to ever carry us on broadcast radio, thanks to Will Team and Wendy Hart. WJM, 1240 AM, Lansing. WJRW 1340 in Grand Rapids, WKLQ 1490 Muskegon Whitehall, WIPV FM 94.5 Mackinac City, and WKAR AM 870, the big tower in East Lansing, Michigan at Michigan State University, and simulcast on 102.3 FM. Thanks again to Craig Stiles for creating Desideri Analytics, where we are making light of weighted decisions. A lot going on with Desideri. Let me tell you, a lot going on with Desideri. And lastly, I want to say thank you to Steve and Ivy Gruber, the owners of the Michigan Talk Network, for carrying our programming for the last many years now. And again, lastly, we have 4 books on Amazon, that thing called Amazon. Please go check those out. Buy one if you would like. I'll autograph it for you if you would like. Okay, back to our show today. Quality Vision Construction, Robert Helm, my guest, good friend, doing a bunch of work for us because we got issues. We got an older house. And if you've got water issues in your house, then you need to listen to this episode, and you need to take some of the advice, maybe take some notes, go back, listen to the podcast with Rob. So Rob, we got water everywhere. You set it up a little bit. We've been battling this issue where we travel a little bit with the house in Wisconsin and then our Florida trip every year. So we leave the house at times, and it's like, man, I tell you, we've had 4 or 5. We've had this house 4 years now. We've had 4 or 5 instances where the giant storms come in, and we get water in the basement. We don't have a sump pump. And I had one case where it was really bad. And I, had a way of getting around it with a wet vac and dumping it in the toilet in the basement. But I knew we had to get this thing resolved. It was an issue. Let's start with the outside first, the outside of the structure first, Rob. Let you talk for the rest of the segment, because that's where you came in. The very first thing you did was you walked the perimeter. You looked at the whole site, trying to get a whole picture of what the hell is going wrong here.
Right.
So can you set this whole thing up, please, for the outside, because that's important. That's a really important piece.
Absolutely. What I usually recommend for anyone who has issues with water is, to try to catch a day where you're having a storm or having a pretty heavy rain, where you can really kind of observe how the water is transitioning from your roof down to the ground. This way you can identify areas that might just be simple things like gutters being plugged with leaves. Maybe the direction of your downspouts might need to be, changed so that the water is not dumping up close to the house. I've seen situations where people have a complete eave trough and downspout that is complete. But what tends to happen a lot is people remove the end that routes the water away from the structure, usually like when they cutting grass and things of that nature. And oftentimes forget to put them back on. Or if they put them on, they don't put them on securely enough. So when the water is moving down there quickly, eventually it wiggles and comes off. And in those situations, what I've seen is it actually over time begin to degrade the foundation. So either you're getting moss and things of that nature growing around the foundation, or in really bad scenarios, I've seen it begin to wash away the underlayment from the foundation, or actually cause it to crack. So that's usually where I try to start at, is even if I'm doing like a new gutter installation, I still want to see how the water will flow from the roof down and away from the house, because there's so many different things that, that can create problems along the way. So
let me ask you a question here real quick, because you brought up the gutters, and I know that you're a general contractor, Rob, and you do. And Rob Helm's our guest today, everybody. Quality Vision Construction, water everywhere is the title of today's episode. When you talk about the gutters and you install the gutters, you also do roofs. Let's start right at the top, because the roof and that feeding into the gutters, and we've had this all redone at this house. I mean, I knew that was a point where we needed a pinch point where we need to get that going. Can you talk about the roof, the integration of the roof and the gutters and the design of that? We'll run out of time in this segment. We'll probably have to finish this thread when we come back, but that's an important piece, right? With the roof feeding into the gutters and different size of the gutters and the gutter guards and all of these things that go into the downspouts, right?
Yep.
Can you please just start at the top and work your way down?
Absolutely. Well, starting with the roof, generally most of them are asphalt shingles, right? And so typically when you install a roof, there's an overhang when you get to the edge of the roof where it goes into the gutter. And sometimes if it's like a new roofer or something of that nature, they might wind up extending those shingles too far over into the gutter. So what winds up happening is if you have a steep pitch on your roof, as the water is traveling down the roof to enter into the eave trough, it's moving at a speed that may actually overshoot the gutter. So especially under heavy rain conditions. So, with the roof, you really want to make sure that it's only overhanging that drip edge maybe by 1/2 inch, so it provides the maximum space for that water to enter into the eave trough. And so by, focusing and making sure that that's consistent all the way around, you have the greatest chance of allowing your eave troughs to do the job that they're designed for.
That's a really good point. I never even thought about that, Rob. And let me take this through the break here, because we'll come back. We'll finish this whole the integration of the roof overhang and the gutters. We're going to try and save you some money here, everybody, with Quality Vision Construction. Rob Helm's with us today. But that roof overhang, if you get some of the downpours like we do in the Midwest here, and if you're all over the country, we get these massive downpours. If, like Rob was saying, if that roof overhang, never even thought of this, if that is not compensating enough to get that water into the gutter and it starts spilling over the gutter, we'll talk about that when we come back, because that's a good indication, like Rob was saying. During a big rain, you might want to go look and see if you're getting like a big giant rainstorm coming out of your gutter, because if that's happening, a downpour, but we'll talk about that when we come back, because the integration of the roof and the eaves troughs is one of the first essential pieces to this whole water everywhere problem. Again, resetting. My guest today, Rob Helm, Quality Vision Construction. This is Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our Segment 2 sponsor, Craig Stiles of Ameriprise Financial. For more information on services provided by Craig, please visit ameripriseadvisors.com/Craig.Stiles or by calling 517-483-4893. You're tuned in to The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Third segment of the Tom Matt Show, sponsored by White Law. Jamie White, White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. White Law is your advocate in time of need. They are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. Jamie gets back to me if I have people calling me, having a question about legal advice. Jamie is the man. He's also the sponsor of the Mad Dog Minutes, which is going very, very well. We're getting lots and lots of views on those things, so it's working out very well. White Law is your advocate for in the time of need, and they are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. Like I've said, White Law will give you a free consultation. Just call them at 517-777-9785. Again, whitelawpllc.com. Phone number is 517-777-9785. And again, to remind you, the easiest way is just if you want to go to our website, bottom of the homepage of the TomMattShow.com website is our sponsors area with Brock, with Jamie, with Craig. So, and several others. And so we may even have to put Rob up there for Quality Vision Construction because you know what? You need to have these people we trust and we've used their services. And it's very important to network with these people, get to know them, and just so you know your money is being spent in the right way. Again, that's why we're doing this episode today, a DIY show about water everywhere and how we can get with these contractors who can help us save money, get a good The thing is, everybody, I'm good with getting value. If we get a good value, if Rob's doing a great job for me, I'm going to tell everybody Rob does a great job. And you know what? The project turned into something different. We're going to talk about that here a little bit later in the episode. But right now, we're going to get back to the roof and the gutter issue because we're talking water everywhere, basement issues. Okay, Rob. So you kind of gave that. That was good. I never even thought about the overhang of the shingles into the eaves troughs. I bet you see all kinds of stuff. And if you don't have a gutter guard, go ahead, tell the story like we're talking about with water, just, water falling, cascading out of your gutter instead of rolling through the gutter. If it's full of stuff or whatever, go ahead, please. How much can that affect our problem down in the basement?
It can be substantial, actually. It actually makes me think of a situation I had a few years ago. A customer had his home built, and it's probably I'm guessing about 10 years old or something of that nature. And he just had your standard 3-inch gutters, residential gutters. And the slope of his roof I think it was probably like a 612 or something. So it was pitched, but not super bad. However, it was a large roof area, so it collects a lot of water. And he was complaining that he was getting water down in the basement as well. And he wanted to see about getting it repaired. But I told him before he did that, he really needed to figure out what was causing that. And he just assumed that it was he had an egress window put in. So he was thinking, oh, well, maybe it's just water that's, going into there. And so what we realized, we got a water hose and just sprayed as much water as we could, like into the gutter and then on the roof at the same time to try and fill that eave trough as much as possible to see how the water was interacting. And basically what was happening is over time, the shingles can begin to curl up a little bit at the edge, especially right where it meets the drip edge. And so it almost created a small ramp. And so as the water was coming down in where it should meet with the gutter and go into the gutter, it actually was kind of ramping and jumping over it and then collapsing down to the egress window. And so he put a cover over the egress thinking that would solve the problem. And I told him that no, because instead of the water exiting the eave trough at either end, as it was designed to, it was actually exiting the middle of the gutter. So it was just basically pouring water on top of it. And ultimately what we did to solve that problem was to readjust the levelness of the gutter so that the water could move faster to the exit point, and then also put a larger eave trough on there. So we moved that up just like you have at your home to a 4-inch. That way it's able to collect as much water and it gives them a little bit more distance from the face of the house to capture as much water as possible.
Rob, you said some of our guests today, everybody, Rob Helm's with us, water everywhere, Quality Vision Construction, general contractor, doing a bunch of work for us, helping us de-waterify our basement. But we had at our old house, a big house, Holt, we had an egress window. I hadn't even thought about this. And when you mentioned that, it kind of made my memory come up. We never had a water issue at this house because we had both a sewage ejection pump and a big sump pump, and they ran all the time. Okay. But we had an egress window. And what happened, Rob, was the stone in the egress window had settled, and the tubes that were the drain tubes for the water in that egress window became exposed by about 2 inches above grade. And guess what? We had a huge storm. Next thing I know, there's about 8 inches of water in this egress window because the drain pipes had become exposed, as I said, and I didn't even realize it. I knew better. I was just like, I know this is not a good idea, but we never had a big rain like that. And that, Rob, exactly what happened. We got water behind the drywall. It was a huge mess, and it just out of nowhere. I mean, you walk in this fully finished basement, and you're sloshing on wet carpet. And it's like, oh. And the thing about this too, Rob, we got to keep this water out of the basements because of mold. We haven't even discussed. Talk about that a little bit. Mold mitigation. That might be a little piece of this thing before we get into the inside repair here.
Yeah. Well, definitely, if you have an existing water issue, there's likely to, be some forms of mold or mildew trapped behind the wall, especially if it was done properly. So what I do when I encounter those situations, like we do a lot of abatement for, water damage or what have you. But when we remove the drywall, whether we're just removing, the bottom couple of feet or the whole thing, is I take a product called Kills, right? It's an oil-based primer. And then what I do is I spray the whole bottom, like I think it's about 14 inches. So from the floor up about 14 inches on the studs. And what that does is it puts a mold resistant barrier across all of that. So by the time you put the new drywall back up on and you close it up, it prevents any moisture that might have soaked into the concrete or what have you to cause, mold or mildew buildup, as well as any future water that may come in. It will help give you enough time to abate that before it creates significant problems.
So this whole outside, looking over everything outside first, when you have the inside problem, this is where we start first. Robbie, I mean, we've talked about the gutter, roof, drainage. You mentioned pre-show about slope of your property. Talk about that as well. And once we get done with that, then when we come back from this segment, we'll start on the inside version of what we had to do on the inside, because this is, like I said, a huge project. Talk about slope and drainage that way too, please.
Well, depending on where you are, the soil composition may absorb faster than in other situations, right? And so given those situations where it's a lot of clay and things of that nature, water tends to stay on the surface of the ground longer. And so it's really, really important to ensure that you have, I would say maybe a 1 foot slope away from the house over maybe a 4 foot area. That it gives you a pretty decent transition for the water. So if water is dumping down from your gutter and not traveling through the downspout and away from the house like it's supposed to, at least it will hit a point where it is not a bowl where the water can just stand. It still has a chance to run away. And what a lot of people don't do is they don't have a lot of vegetation around the house because of, it may affect the foundation and things, which depending on the types of vegetation you choose, it can. But what you also have to remember is what the vegetation's job is to absorb a lot of the moisture around your house. So if you get rid of plants that use a lot of water, then you'll have a lot more water that will remain on the property. And so it's important to not only make sure that it's sloped away properly, but to make sure that your gutters and the discharge ends of your downspouts are allowing the water to move away from the property, and ideally in areas that will be sloping away from the foundation.
That is such good input. And you know what? And the thing about plants and absorbing the water, everybody, I mean, we could talk about having mulch or stone around your foundation, mitigating that water and getting it away from you. Now, when we come back, we're going to start talking about the inside of the structure and what we had to do to mitigate, again, this water issue, which was driving me nuts. Although now I'm happy because we got that fixed, and we got the other projects that are going along with this, resetting everything. Water everywhere. You've had water in your basement. Listen to this episode because we're trying to save you some money here. Quality Vision Construction. Robert Helm is with us. This is the Tom Mann Show.
Thank you again to our segment 3 sponsor, White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. White Law is your advocate in times of need. We are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. Contact White Law today for your free consultation. Visit us at whitelawpllc.com or call 517-777-9785.
Welcome to the Tom Mann Show.
Fourth segment of Tom Mann Show is sponsored by, you know who, Brock Fletcher, selling team of Keller Williams Realty. Awesome guy. If you didn't see the latest episode with Brock, he had a student athlete come in with him, Caleb Coley, who is one of the funniest young men I've ever seen. I mean, this guy is so hilarious. You want to check this out because what Brock's doing over there with allowing interns to come in and learn the financial responsibilities and the business of real estate is really very helpful. If you've got any issues like that, you want to try to reach out to Brock. Here are a couple of numbers. And in addition to having him and the team like Mike Dedman, what's going on, Mikey, help you like they have done with us, buy and sell homes, get good deals, get the most bang for your buck. I've told you stories many, many times. There's 20 episodes on the website with Brock. Different questions, different issues with real estate, sort of tying into like what we're doing today with Rob Helm with Quality Vision Construction, saving us money because we have issues going on in the house. When you buy a home, you want to either have it inspected, you got to check for water, you got to do all these things. Brock will make sure all these things work for you. 517-853-6408 is the office number. Here is his cell phone number, which he encourages people to use. Text, leave a voicemail, 517-303-3262. You go online to kwsellingteam.com. For sure, they will check in with you. Again, full disclosure, with all of our sponsors, we utilize their services. We utilize Rob Helm's services. That's how I know that I can trust these people. And I can tell you legitimately on this radio program, this podcast, that these people, I know these people and they do good work. And that's why you want to go to these people, because we have vetted them for you. Unfortunately, out there, everybody, money drives a lot of greed, and you will get some funky estimates on all kinds of things out of this ballpark. And if you don't get a second estimate, or you don't know the person, you don't trust them, how do you know you're getting good bang for your buck? That's the whole key to working with people you trust, like all of our sponsors and my guest today, Rob Helm. Okay, we're talking water everywhere. Rob is in the middle of mitigating, as I've said about 5 times now. The word mitigation is right there in my forebrain, because it's like, I don't want any more water in my basement. I want to be able to leave. I want to come back. We never had a sump pump. This house was built in 1950, and that's fine. And so, Rob, you've covered the outside very, very clearly, and there's lots and lots, tons of things to look for that may save you money, right? Because you may not have to go through all the trouble like we went through. You may have just a small problem that could be rectified quickly, correct?
Yeah. Actually, as I'm just listening to you, one of the things that, I'm a real estate home inspector as well. And one thing that I look for frequently for outside, water issues are holes or low areas around the foundation. Those are usually indicators of where the water is coming down from the roof. So if it's over running the gutters or what have you, there'll be some indicators, whether it's, some green, mossy, material, or you'll see splash and mud up against the structure, or in bad, scenarios, you'll start to see the foundation actually cracking and settling. So
let me ask you a question before we get into the inside work that you guys are doing about keeping those drains and getting a Roto-Rooter service to come in and clean that main drain occasionally. We have giant trees in this neighborhood, everybody. I mean, this house was built in 1950, as I said. So, Rob, what's your opinion on that? Because it's not that inexpensive. It can be $300-400 to have the Roto-Rooter professional come out and take care of business with their machine. What's your feeling on that?
Well, certainly, if you're in an area that's prone to roots, plugging your drains or your drain lines anyway, that's definitely a wise thing to do. The frequency of it, it makes sense why you would want to do it maybe every year, especially if you have heavy roots. But the one thing that I would caution, depending on the type of pipes that you have, right? Like if it's a new house versus an older home, the material composition of the pipes are different. And what you could potentially run into through frequent routing of the pipes is damaging those pipes. So if you have like clay tiles or cast iron that is already degraded pretty bad, in some cases, you might create a problem by doing it too frequently. So I would encourage you to do it as needed. So if you notice that your drains are slowing down, or, you're getting a little water backup or something like that, and it's not like a traditional, kitchen sink plug or toilet plug kind of scenario, then certainly. But, doing it kind of routinely, if you will, you may create a situation over time doing that.
Good advice. Again, trying to save you some money, everybody. And you know what? If you're in front of things and you have preventive maintenance, can save you a lot of money down the road. Okay, let's get into the big job now, because we had to have the inside work done. We're talking water everywhere. Rob Helm is our guest today, Quality Vision Construction. Rob is running a big project for us now because we had to get this water issue squared away. So you've talked extensively about the outside of the structure, Rob. Now you're on the inside, and You ran into, and I'm just going to let you have the rest of the show to talk about this, and then we'll talk about all sports. But What did you see when I first explained this issue to you? What was your feeling?
Well, my first concern was how is the water entering into the home? And when I think I first came to your home, I think it was just a casual kind of visit. Being a home inspector, I can't help but to see things. And so when I start to see like new gutters and stuff like that, I get excited. But then if I see cracks in the foundation or cracks in your concrete, things of that nature, then I get concerned because I'm like, I know what tends to cause those things. And so I just look for the obvious, parts of that. So being on the inside of the house, I was just paying attention to, your concerns and your wife's concerns about water. And so just trying to listen and try to capture, what times of the year or what situation, what is actually creating this problem. Because it could be a plumbing problem, right? It may not just be a rain issue. So it was kind of evaluating what that was. And then, looking for your water heaters, relief valve leaking, things of that nature, because there's some stuff that people don't look at. They just see water in the basement and instinctively think, oh, my foundation is leaking. So it could be other things, leaky pipes, et cetera.
Hold on just a second here. You did, upon your inspection, you did find that our pressure relief valve, which I had no idea. Again, this is why you have pros come in, everybody. On the hot water tank, which is relatively new, it's not that old. You had to repair that. I had no idea. So I appreciate that. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, as I said, when you're trying to evaluate where the water is coming from, you have to look at your obvious, things. And having a background in heating and air conditioning, I know that it's really common for relief valves to be an issue because people usually, if they're going to drain them, they drain them from the relief valve and not from the actual drain valve. And the problem with that, as I showed you, is that the sediment that is created from heating water will cause those things to get plugged up and not close or reseat all the way. And so then you wind up with just a constant drip. And so sometimes it's worse than others, but especially if you run your water heater at a higher temperature, it's more likely to leak more water. But yeah, so again, evaluating the different potentials, first thing, where do you see the water? How much water? Asking those kinds of questions to engage with you to really try to get as much history as possible will kind of help lead you to, what the potential problem is. And so after
get to the solution,
having that conversation with you, what we realized is where's the drain? Where's the floor drain? And so that caused us to have to research and look a little bit further into the overall problem.
And here's a quick snapshot, everybody. I'm going to carry this through, Rob, because we're going to come up on break in a minute. I had, when we bought this house, it was a one bath house. Okay. Small, 3-bedroom, typical. I had a little basement bathroom built, kind of thrown together by just a guy. And it was definitely just to throw together as cheap as possible. I needed a shower. I needed a sink. I already had a toilet. He took care of that. That was fine for several years. Okay. Until this issue came up. And then realizing that everything's built on top of the drain that Rob needs to get to. Now Rob has to completely take that old bathroom out so that he can see what the heck he's up against. And that's where we ran into problems. Rob, we got 30 seconds to go here. Talk about the sump pump, get those guys over here, and we'll come back. We'll finish the thread because we got a lot to talk about with this.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was pretty exciting. Once we were able to demolish and find out where all of the existing plumbing was, it was to our surprise that, as you stated, everything was built over the top of the floor drain, which if you ever have a backup, that's the only way for the water to get back out. And so it'll come out a lot faster than it'll be able to drain. That's for sure.
And that's where we had to have the bathroom redone because the bathroom got destroyed. So now we're having all these other issues that come on. See what I'm talking about, everybody? Without a guy like Rob, who's guiding us in the correct journey, when we come back, we'll talk more about the bathroom issue, the plumbing issue, the idea issue, how to save money issue, the estimates that he got from his subs that were outrageous because of the funky situation we had. And it was really no one's fault. Water everywhere. Robert Helm's with us, Quality Vision Construction, All Sports Headgear. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our Segment 4 sponsor, Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262. or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show. I am the host, Tom Matt. Water everywhere with Mr. Robert Helm, my pal. Man, I'm so glad I met Robert. This guy is just doing us right, taking care of business. If you ever want to get a message to me or Sandy or anything about the radio program, send us a note, tommattshow.com. Go to the website, tommattshow.com, the contact box there. If you got a question for Rob, or if you got a question for any of the guests, any of our guests out there. That's why we do the radio program, to share good information and good stories. So if you're curious and you don't want to reach out to the individual, but you want to get a question answered, send us a note. We're happy, very happy to get that feedback, get it all the time. Rob, how would you like people to connect with you on your social media, website, all that, phone numbers, emails, speaking engagements, construction projects, clothing lines, publishing? I mean, dude, you got about 15 different. Talk about refirement.
Yeah.
This guy is constantly refiring. Anyways, go ahead, Rob. How do you want people to get a hold of you?
Well, I'm refired again because you got me pumped up, Tom.
That's good, man. That's what I do, man.
That's right. The easiest way to get a hold of me, considering that I do have multiple ventures, they're all pretty much under the same phone number threshold. So my phone number is 517-204-9022. And you can reach me directly in regards to construction, in regards to home inspection, in regards to, as Tom mentioned, all sports athletic apparel, because I'm also an inventor and have created a pretty, what I like to say, a cool hood, as you can see.
Very cool.
Here behind me.
Very cool.
As well as we're online, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, we're pretty much on all of the social networks, but you can find me Robert Helm. COO is pretty much what I'm under on all of those different platforms, or my company specific, Quality Vision Construction, or All Sports Athletic Apparel.
Very good. Thank you for doing that, Rob. Appreciate that. Water everywhere, everybody. Talking about project. I've had a water issue at Little House Lansing, which we didn't really know. It was sort of caused by this little bathroom that I had built. I kind of created a big monster unknowingly. And I'm sure a lot of homeowners, this happens, Rob, right? Where you do something, you need to have this, but then you don't think about the clean outs and the access points. And go ahead. I mean, because we're getting to the inside stuff. You had to tear that whole structure out to get to the bottom of it. And as you started getting your estimates for the first vision to rebuild this bathroom, you take it from there because you know the story better than I do.
Yeah. Well, initially we had a concept that we thought would work under the guise of where we thought everything was situated based on where your shower was, where your toilet was, and where your sink was. However, with the wall still in place and the various platforms that were throughout the bathroom, we couldn't really distinguish why those were there until we got them taken out. And so once we took them out, we realized that our initial idea that we wanted to go with wasn't going to be feasible because there were some code violations, and so after realizing that, we started to call a couple of different contractors out to try to get an idea of what possible solutions that we had before we came back to try to explain it to you. And in the course of that, we found that there was several different, actually we call 5. I don't generally call 5 contractors. I usually do 2 or 3, but I wind up calling out 5 different contractors to try to get an idea because everyone's price was way outside of what our budget was, as well as what we thought was necessary to solve the problems that we were dealing with. And, typically when you're dealing with contractors, some contractors are like myself who want to educate you and give you all of the options of what you can do and then allow you to, make that decision. Then you have other contractors who make that decision for you and they just tell you, you got to do this and this and this and this. And, unfortunately for me, I don't operate that way because I think it's more important for you to have clarity and I to have clarity of what your expectations are. So that way we can both walk away from this project, happy, if you will.
Clarity and saving us money, everybody. Sorry to interrupt you, buddy, but it's like clarity and saving us money because the scope of the project was already a big number. In my world, it was a big number. It's like, it completely blew the budget. So you came up with an alternative plan on the fly, and it's turning out sweet.
Yeah, that is what I specialize in, is in solving problems. And so, as a matter of fact, I'd like to just take a moment to let the audience know that, if you find yourself with an issue similar to what Tom has had, or many other water related, or just trouble, problems, if you will, what I specialize in is troubleshooting. So I use my home inspection experience, my general contracting experience, and my HVAC experience, to really help try to solve problems. So identify and solve problems. So I didn't mean to jump out of there real quick, but I just wanted to make sure I take time to say that.
Well, the whole thing about you, service, safety, and saving money is the whole backbone of your business.
Exactly.
And so that's good for people to understand. That's why you're here, Rob, because we're trying to save people money, and these giant problems that can be potentially avoided. At least you know what you're going. So thanks for getting the 5 estimates. I was unaware of that, so I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in the effort to try to provide the best service we can, right, and to stay within the budget, that's what the number one goal is, and to see because every profession has kind of like different experience or a different perspective on things, and so I think that was another point to try to broaden what are our possibilities here. And once we've done that, that is what gave us the ability to coin a new idea of how we can provide you with what it is that you're looking for in the most suitable and cost-effective fashion.
And we will revisit this next time Rob is back, because there are other pieces to this project. We've kind of covered everything with the water everywhere, and I want to get into all sports for the close of the episode. But it's like there is way more to this whole project, everybody, that we will talk about in a future episode with Rob once it's all done. And I'll be able to put some pictures up to show you. Rob's got video as well to show you this hellhole that he's turning into this really, really fantastic space, way more than we expected, because he pretty much had to. He had to come up with a solution. He figured it out himself. I knew he would do this. We were talking, because I was in Wisconsin when we were having these conversations, and it was like, Rob, I have faith in you. I know you'll figure it out. And he came up with a way better solution than we would have had initially. So I appreciate that. And I want everybody to know that this guy's saving us some money. It's costing them money, but there'll be more to this story later on, because we're not done with it yet, but I will let you know. We will talk about it. All right, let's transition into all sports and what's happening with all sports. I put you in touch with a student from Michigan State University, my pal Dallas Sims, who's been on the radio program recently. Excellent guy, young person who, we like connecting with the young people, Rob. Talk about you connecting with the young people and all sports and how it all ties together, and why people should have some, side action going on, keeping you fresh, keeps your life active. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, well, I think it really speaks to the whole refirement idea of Mr. Tom Matt, simply because working with younger people, sometimes it exposes you to things in a different perspective than what you might see through your experience, and that introduction that you provided, it gave me a kind of an opportunity to kind of see into his world, see where his interests are, and knowing that he's interested in real estate and knowing that he's interested into apparel. Those are areas that I'm currently in, that I'm excited about. And, the more that I have to network with other people who are like-minded, I think that's great. So, having some experience and being able to share that with someone who is up and coming, I think that's what we all need, kind of a mentorship. So
it really keeps us, again, refiring. I mean, when we're refiring, we give back. It's called generativity. And when we give back with no expectation in return, it warms your soul, makes you a better person, and makes life better. So what's happening with all sports now? You've got a lot going on with all sports. We've talked about in previous episodes, Rob, what is all sports? But give us a quick snapshot. We got 2 minutes to go before we wrap this thing. Tell everybody about it. Why do they need to know about this? What is it?
Well, all sports headgear and all sports athletic apparel is basically my brainchild. It's a product that I invented for the purpose of, being able to stay warm or stay cool as you need to when you're playing sports or involved in fitness activities. It morphed into something way more than that, because it's a casual item that you can wear as a traditional garment. You can wear it as an accessory item. I wear mine with my bathrobe sometimes in the morning when it's cold, so I can stay warm. So it's really a hoodie designed with pockets and with a flap in the hood, so that, any gender, or regardless of how long your hair is, whatever the case might be, it provides the flexibility to use that. And what I would like to just note, because this is something that I haven't really spoken on much since the pandemic, but one of the things that the All Sports was kind of transitioned into was what we would call like a health towel, because it has the ability for you to store hot packs or cold packs in it, which can directly offset fevers or, help you in terms of chills and, things of that nature. So you can use it for, that functional side or a fashionable side. So we like to kind of refer to it as a fitness, fashion, fun head towel.
I like multi-purpose. It's all good. Okay, what's your takeaway, man? I need a 30-second takeaway from this episode. Water everywhere. We'll come back. We'll revisit this project. But what would you like your takeaway to be?
My takeaway to homeowners out there is take time to observe your home and its water conditions during any possible opportunity, hopefully during a good storm where you can go out there with your raincoat on and really observe what is happening.
If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you through our guests like Mr. Robert Helm, Quality Vision Construction, 517-204-9022. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. I close the show now in our 14th season, every episode with that quote. And that's because we walk that walk, we live that dream, and we love having people like Robert Helm come in. We're trying to save us all some money, trying to share our experiences and our stories. And yeah, these things happen. Again, thanks to my brother from another mother, Robert Helm, for being with us. Sandy, Matt, Craig Stiles, Brock Fletcher, Jamie White. We'll talk to everybody next week, and have a great week, everybody. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Lastly, I want to say thank you to our production staff, Mitch Anderson and Vanessa. You guys are the bomb. We are out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music from The Source of Light and Power by The Ark of All.